In addition to the video I previously made, I also wanted to make a short list of all the useful tools I use for immersion and tools just to make your life more simple when creating cards and so on. So I've divided this video in a few short categories. First off, Netflix, then Spotify, Anki, anime, my browser add-ons I use regularly, Dictionaries, and Timekeeping and tracking. So first off, Netflix. Obviously, to use Japanese Netflix you need a VPN. I use NordVPN. I've never had issues with it. I've recently saw a post on the I think it was the Refold Reddit, where somebody complained that their VPN doesn't work for Japanese Netflix. I've never had any problem with NordVPN. I think I bought it for a year for like $3 a month. Very reliable, useful tool. Also, while watching Netflix, I highly recommend an add-on called AJATT. This add-on makes it possible that the normal subtitles that you see here actually pop out, and you can then hover over them, and given that you have other add-ons active like Rikaikun or Yomi-chan, you can actually read the subtitles and look up words, certain phrases you don't know. Now, also briefly touching onto immersion with YouTube, I would highly recommend that you make your own separate channel on YouTube in which you only subscribe to Japanese channels, so it doesn't, it couldn't even break the flow of your immersion. So this right here is my separate channel, different from the one I've uploaded it, and as you can see, you only can subscribe to Japanese channels, and I only get recommended Japanese videos, so it's pretty hard to come up into immersion. Something I also use for YouTube is this site called Haishinsha Ikoi Ranking. It just shows you all the streams, all the Japanese streams that are currently live, and you can click on any one of these, basically get a hyperlink to them. Next, I'm going to go over a few podcasts that I use to actively and passively immerse. First on the list would be the NHK Radio News podcast. Very helpful, even if I don't understand even probably like 40-50% of it, but this holds true for any of the podcasts I'm going to list here. Next on Sokani, a podcast all about anime. They do anime reviews and reviews of anime seasons. Next, Uchu Banashi by Sasuke Ryo, I believe. Just very short podcast episodes about the universe and phenomena in it. Next, I also recommend Sugoi Shinka Radio. It's all about, as the title says, evolution and anything that has to do with it. Simplified so even kids would understand it. Very good podcast. Next, Rexio Moshiroku Manobu. This is a podcast all about history, and I've recently started listening to, I think, a 7 or 8 part podcast about the Second World War. Very informative, researched properly, very interesting. A podcast I can't really show you on Spotify right here. It's called Hikibiki. Also will be linked in the description. Just a podcast I used, especially in the first 2 or 3 months. They talk about pretty much anything in the world, but it is discontinued and only the archive remains. Next on the list, a few Anki-addons I use, and you probably should too. I'm just gonna go over the ones I use for Japanese. Obviously Anki Connect, I use this for the MPV player. I'm also gonna go through later in this video. Customizable keyboard shortcuts, very useful to make Anki cards more efficiently, faster. Japanese pronunciation, pitch and accent. I currently don't use this, but I will be in the future. Option pitch accent. Japanese support, one of the most important add-ons, essential. There's also a video by Matt vs Japan on how to set it up and make it work. this add-on makes it so that furigana actually work with your kanji. Then Morphman, I've recently started using this. It auto-generates T1 sentences, so sentences that only contain one unknown word, and at least that it thinks that are unknown to you. Still experimenting with it, pretty interesting. Also a video by Metros Japan. Pop-up dictionary beta. I've used this for university mainly, but I've also used it sometimes for Japanese. The problem is that it needs at least 3 characters, and in Japanese that is a problem because you can't highlight just 1 character and look it up in your databank. So you need at least 3 characters. So maybe highlight the furigana. Quick color changing, one of the most useful I use it every day to highlight words and phrases, especially since I started the monolingual transition, and I use it a lot. And also the review heat map, maybe to get you motivated. I don't know, it just looks prettier, you know. Also concerning Anki is this website I use to sometimes get the sub-SRS decks into my Anki. These only include anime and Japanese J-dramas. There's lots of them. You just have to scroll down, maybe search for them, and in most cases you would find them. Whatever you're looking for. Especially useful with Morphman to have a bigger data bank for your Morphman. So next on the list, things I use for anime. One of the most important things is this player called MPV. There's also a video on Metverse Japan's channel on how to set this player up. The most important feature is that this player has an add-on called MPVages. Bring it up by pressing A. I can instantly set the time and make a card right on the fly, and now I have this card right here with the corresponding subtitles, audio, and a snapshot. So if we look at a card, everything is right here. Great to just make cards on the fly. If you're immersing into a show, you could just set it up with another like hotkey app or something like that. Just press, make it so that it presses AC and A, and you instantly have a new card. Also concerning anime, very useful site, Kitsuneko. You will find many Japanese subtitles on here, hundreds of shows from all kinds of ages. Yeah, just search for any show you want. Just go for Boku no Hero Academia. Right here, updated regularly. Gonna find pretty much for any season new subtitles that you can use then with your MPV and MPVages. Just to go over my browser extensions here, what I've also shortly touched on, sub it up for Netflix for the subtitles. Add-on I use to look up words on the fly is Rikaikun. You can also use Yomi-chan, it's exactly the same, but you need to set it up with external dictionaries. There's a video on that on Metverse Japan's channel, also be linked in the description. Now onto the dictionaries I use. We will be familiar with Chisho. It's one of the most used Japanese to English dictionaries out there. Highly accurate, quick, you can go to the next word, it's highlighted, and we'll get a short translation of it. Yeah, you probably knew about this. But next on the list is AJATT. It's also a Japanese to English dictionary. We can look up pretty much any word, phrase. But in addition to that, for German speakers, German natives, it also has a German to Japanese dictionary with highly accurate translations. So I sometimes use this if I'm not so familiar with a certain English word. Next, Go-Chisho, monolingual dictionary. Don't use this regularly, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. Also, another monolingual dictionary I use is Colibri. A video on how to set this up is on Medverse Japan's channel. It's pretty old, clunky, but at the same time, I don't know exactly why, but I like to use it. You can customize all the colors in it and whatnot, and yeah, and you can even fast, say for example, I wouldn't know how to pronounce this word. I can now look this word up in the dictionary instantly, get a sentence on that describes it, and further down even English sentences if I haven't already transitioned to the monolingual. In addition to all the other dictionaries I've just shown you, especially in the beginning, I also used this site. It's just a GitHub site where you can look up other cool stories for your RTK and their primitives. To look up a new kanji, you just replace the kanji up there. I think the site has some problems, it's a little clunky, but you know. Last on the list, something I only started doing recently, timekeeping. It's a pretty good Excel sheet on how to keep track of time. You have your column for the added words every day, reading hours, active listening, passive listening, how many hours you spend in Anki. And there's a link to get a copy of this sheet in the description. Also, program I use called multi-track stopwatch. You can set up various stopwatches, have them even run at the same time. Let's say for example I'm gonna do university and do passive listening, and it keeps track of time. Simple as that, very simple program. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you got something out of this video, some new resource maybe. Yeah, just keep going, keep immersing, and you know, see you.